So the empowered is...
Yeah, this is what we were talking about.
Big.
Yeah, we were talking about like, oh, there's good shit in the PTR. This is what it was.
This could be fucking Special Agent Skarsgård and co. going in and perhaps very much acting on player feedback in a great way.
Yeah, or in any capacity, this could be the whoever in charge of loot and design and all that stuff. Whatever part of their team, whoever's leading, it's hard to say, and I wouldn't want to start a kind of meme of sorts that someone's in charge of it if they're not. But it's that case of whatever's happening, they're going completely out of like left field, and they're making something that should be substantially better to engage with.
Yeah. So look, we do not know details. We just have fragments.
Yep.
But they're cool fragments. Yeah. So let's get into
Basically, there are vendors.
Yeah. So empowered gear. What is that? Well, it seems to be the name of gear that will be obtainable from raids in the next season.
Which makes sense because it's stronger than it was before.
Yep. Of course, all raids will be relevant in Season 4 because Blizzard are really trying to shake up what a season is.
All Shadowlands raids?
Oh, yeah. Fuck. We don't have any concrete info about the gear itself. So will there be different appearances, different effects or anything? But we have some very interesting snippets. Hang on. What's in Dakor's thinky box? The grade of Blizzard would enable the particle effects for all the non-mythic transmog sets from each of the raids. When initially data mined, each of the raid appearance sets on LFR, normal, heroic, and mythic had specifically colored particle effects that would match the tier and truly make them pop. But when each patch went live, all the non-mythic mog sets had their particle effect disabled. Why go to the trouble of coloring the particle effects to match each difficulty tier if you're just going to disable them? Let's add them in Season 4. Well, you know what? This is a high-quality Dakor thinking box.
I remember he raged so hard when that happened. He's like, you've made this, what are you doing? Obviously, it's like, oh yeah, because we want the mythic to be the best. You're like,
mythic's not that important.
Yeah.
How
many people do mythic? Mythic will not be aspirational while it is a massive, massive, massive amount of time and effort to do.
This is straight up. They degraded the average raider, so normal and heroic, which is the vast majority of players. They downgraded the loot that you get.
Yeah.
Versus before Warlords of Draenor happened and they refactored raiding. Because it was like, okay, sure, there'd be because back then, of course, you have to remember, for SOO anyway, it was flex, normal, heroic, which is now,
flex, which is
flex
now
is normal mode.
Normal, which is now heroic.
Normal, which is heroic.
Yep.
And heroic, which is now mythic.
Yeah.
Because they jangled it all about. But look, if you did heroic back then, it's like you get maybe a more edgy kind of badass tint.
Yeah.
But it was the same bit of gear.
Yeah.
So a normal mode raider, which is analogous to a heroic raider today, they still got like the full thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, though, it just feels like if you're a normal heroic raider, or heroic raider, let's just say, it kind of feels like you get the gimped version of the set that the artists really made.
And you do, because it's literally just turned it off before they sent it live.
Yeah. I think this is a major thing they need to fix up in Dragonflight.
Yeah, especially when it's like, obviously they may be thinking, well, we want Mythic to be aspirational, but I don't think Mythic can be aspirational for a huge amount of players whenever it's hard enough to require a lot of input, that's fine. Having hard content's completely, absolutely. Hard content that you have to devote a lot of time to, absolutely perfectly fine. But you think about like the idea that there's the 20 man coming from the 10 to 30, and that's a thing where you're asking so much for Heroic Guild to do Mythic that you kind of stop the natural progress because you've designed it that way. I don't know if the answer is Heroic's 20 man now or Mythic's 10 man or something like that. I don't know what the answer is, if they even want to solve that, if they're not happy, but yeah.
What they do with the gear art actually would have made more sense in the old system, because my, normal 10-man raiding group would dabble in the odd heroic boss.
Yeah.
Every now. It's so frustrating because I know loads of players who have only played since WoD they'll be like used to raid normal modes. Fucking weak.
Yeah.
Whereas
that was
equivalent of heroic today.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to change the social format of your gameplay to ascend to that new level that gets you that super cool loot.
Yeah.
Whereas for loads and loads of guilds now, you have to change the social format of your gameplay to get the cool bit of loot. And that's just... No, I don't think that works. Yeah, but to go back, though, because we should probably talk about these things for everyone.
Yep.
There's upgrade tokens. Imagine tokens in WoW. Ooh. So we don't know how these will be obtained, but we do think they look interesting. So we've got the Confounding Antique Cipher and the Cosmic Creation Impetus. Use 20 Confounding Antique Ciphers to create the Cosmic Creation Impetus, which can be used to improve empowered raid items to heroic quality.
Yep.
Interesting. For Mythic, combine 20 Confounding Ancient Ciphers to create the Sacred Creation Impetus. Hope you're enjoying the word salad as much as I am, which can be used to improve empowered raid items to mythic quality. Basically, you can turn your normals into heroics, your heroics into mythics somehow. We don't know how this shit works whatsoever, but there are vendors. Here they are. We've got Sire Supplier, Fence of the first ones, and Domination Dealer.
Great names. Fucking excellent names.
Yeah, excellent naming. So, you know, what are these? We got gear vendors. We have seemingly an upgrade token.
Yep.
What's going to happen? The raid slots are also different. Defeat 2 Season 4 raid bosses, 5 Season 4 raid bosses, and 8 Season 4 raid bosses. Yeah, so same as it is. But how's the loot going to work?
So, let's see. My idea is that you'll get a currency from something or the other. Maybe you'll also just get like flat drops, but maybe those suppliers will give you the normal tier of gear. And then these things you can use to upgrade. So if you want, say you want a piece of, I'm trying to think of a specific gear item, but my brain's not working anymore. Say you want it probably won't work, but let's say the legendary bow from Sylvanas. You could go and get that no, you can upgrade that anyway, never mind. That's basically it. The legendary bow. You know the way you would drop an upgrade item for you?
Yeah.
Kind of that, maybe. Where you get a weapon, you get a dagger from, say, normal, I don't know where anything drops in this raid, because it was tokens in Natharia, I was getting really confused. But anyway, you get an item, you get it on normal difficulty, you keep trying it over and over again, but it doesn't drop, so you buy it instead. Then every heroic kill will get you your upgrade item, so you can just get this normal item, and you don't need it to drop on heroic. If it does drop on heroic, big win. But if you have it normal, doesn't drop on heroic, you can just upgrade it after killing enough bosses.
It would be cool if there was a way, like if you got a dupe, you could turn that dupe into
that'd be sick.
More tokens, which could be quite tricky to do. But with personal loot, actually, that would sort of work. So then you couldn't funnel junk gear to somebody to then scrap.
Yeah, but then there's the other possibility of what if they don't drop loot at all? They probably will drop loot. But there's a possibility that they don't drop loot, but they drop a currency, and then you can just buy the loot you want, which is probably a bit too deterministic. But I think that's a case of you'll definitely be the more, you have to rely less on RNG. Vendors by default do that, depending on how they work. It's just a matter of you kill boss so much, you get the stuff, you get to upgrade it to whatever you want, you get to play whatever you want.
Like even the idea that, let's just say you go and you do your initial progress on normal mode, let's just say if you're that sort of guild, right? But then you're like, okay, we want to step it up to heroic. So you do a few heroics and you slowly make it there. But as you kill those bosses, you're getting this currency, which means that some of the gear you've got, you can sort of... Now, see, that's interesting because...
That's a good example.
That could just like accelerate, your... the second part, which maybe would feel better to some people. However, what it would then... It would create some interesting implications in terms of refarming for drops to get coverage that you then intend to upgrade, where people would then preferentially upgrade late boss normal modes. So then that could kind of like kneecap some future progression because you just turn that into heroic. So there's like a few iffy bits. But it's certainly a very promising realm that they're entering here, and I really like to see the general flavor of experimentation we're actually seeing.
Exactly, this is great. And Season 4 is the best time to experiment. Not literally because you have probably the least amount of players at the expansion in terms of sample size, but it is like the most free, especially now that this season's like a completely new thing. They can experiment like crazy and pay attention. Dr. Frankenberry was saying, this system is exponentially better than what we had though, and would even make the vault better. Because one of the complaints with the vault is, and I'd still like to see it gone and worked into base loot so it's more simple, but if you get a normal raid gear from the vault, but you want it in heroic, go fuck yourself. Which isn't the case for mythic items, because the upgrade path. So they're adding the mythic plus upgrade path to raid. That's basically it. but it'll use these drops instead of Valor. I should have said that at the start. Fuck's sake. Yeah. But also maybe you can buy some gear. Maybe. That's the intention, really. Bad luck protection for gear with extra steps. That's also true. But it sounds great. It sounds like this sounds more deterministic. It sounds like there's bad luck protection. There's backups. There's, choice of what you upgrade. Yep. I think
Players
that's
are
way better.
being taken care of.
Yep.
And that's an important little bit. Taken care of.
Yeah.
I think there is
taken out the back and shot, but
yeah, there is like a bit of a duty of care to your players. You're asking them to engage in this. You're creating an incentive structure that is going to play with their brain, their brain chemistry, to make them be motivated to do something. So if you're going to pull them into this, you have a duty of care to that person to a degree. I think you do anyway. In the same way that I think that's a duty of care that a lot of big algorithm companies are.
Oh yeah.
Abusing. There's a lot of unethical tech.
Yeah, framed in a different way, you need to be very careful that you're respecting your user's time.
Yeah.
Especially when you're using, I'm not going to call them, I won't call them underhanded, but you're using research psychological methods to try and ask for more of their time in ways that aren't completely upfront to them.
Yeah.
Then you have to offset that by at least making sure their time's respected.
Yeah.
Which is the case of that's where determinism comes in, and like noted endpoints, I think is very important.